Hey guys, I am going to try to lay this out for you very nicely. If you want to try it at your own pace and kind of work ahead of me and just double check as you're going to see that you're getting the same answers that I am, that's fine as long as you are not distracting the people around you. So if you want to work ahead a little bit, that's great. Just double check your work to make sure you're getting the right thing, because the quiz that you're about to take looks just like this one. But there are some differences. So like, I'm going to rearrange things a little bit. I'm going to ask for different segments, that type of thing. So, just make sure when you go to take the quiz that you read the question. It's not the exact same question that it is on here, but it is nearly the exact same format for the quiz. So anything you don't know how to do on here, you'll have a little bit of time after we do this to maybe talk to a neighbor, try out some constructions, that type of thing. But I want to make sure that you have access to it all before we take the quiz in a little bit. So here we go. This first one, it says, find the value of x in the figure below. And I just want to remind you, we're talking mid-segments here, okay? A mid-segment is a midpoint and a midpoint. Okay, it's the segment that joins those two midpoints. So this is your mid-segment, the pink line there. Think about what the relationship is between that mid-segment and this line that it is parallel to, okay? The 4x is for sure shorter than the 48, right? So remember we said one is half as much as the other, or one is twice of the other, depending on which way you're looking at it. So like in a situation like this, where your unknown is part of that mid-segment, I would say your best bet is to double that 4x. So you take your 4x and you just multiply it by 2, and that will equal the 48. So this is 8x equals 48. So you divide by 8, which means your x value is 6. So if you plugged that back in, right, plug it back in. 4 times 6 gives you 24 for that length. That 24 is half of 48. So that makes sense, okay? Please, please, please don't set them equal. This mid-segment length is not the same as the side across from it. Don't set them equal. You need to either double the smaller one or cut in half the longer one, okay? So just be reasonable there when you're trying to lay it out. What makes sense in that situation? Does it make more sense to double or to cut in half? Okay, 2A says that GH is the mid-segment of triangle DEF. So that is a mid-segment, and it says GH is 36. Okay, so if that is 36, then what is DF? So again, ask yourself the question, is the 36 shorter or longer than DF? Well, it's shorter, right? So to find the length of DF, we would double it. So when you double 36, you get 72 for the length of DF. So DF is 72. Okay, now look at the second part. It says GH is 36. Okay, so 36 here. DE is 60. So this whole thing is 60. And HF, this little piece here, is 34. I want to know the perimeter, and here's where you need to be careful on the quiz. I ask you different things. I give you different things. Pay attention to the lettering, okay? Find the perimeter of GEH. GEH is this triangle, okay? I want the perimeter of that triangle. So right now, we have 36 is one of those pieces. And if GH is truly a mid-segment, then these pieces are congruent and these pieces are congruent. So that means EH, this piece, should be the same as HF, so that's going to be 34. And then if the whole thing over here is 60 and it's equal parts, then this has to be 30 and 30. So when I ask you to find a perimeter, I'm saying what is the sum of all of those sides? So you're gonna go 30 plus 34 plus 36. And if you add those together, you get, oh, what a nice number. So the perimeter would be 100. Okay, just add the 3 parts together there. All right, take a look at number 3. It says in the figure below is ray XY. Ray XY would be this guy. Is that an angle bisector? And remember we said in order for that to be an angle bisector, the distance to the other rays has to be the same, and distance is always perpendicular. So this length would have to be the same as that length in order for this to be an angle bisector. So is that an angle bisector? We would say no. The distance to the rays is different. Okay. All right, look at number 4. It says find the value of x and the length of LP in this figure. So look at your markings. You have congruent pieces here, and this is perpendicular, meaning KP is a perpendicular bisector. And if that is a perpendicular bisector, then any point on KP has to be the same distance to J as it is to L. So a point like this has to be the same distance here as it is there. Remember in class I said, when in doubt, do what? Set it equal, right? Those are gonna be equal parts. So 3x plus 5 equals 5x minus 9, and then we'll solve it. So take away the 3x and add the 9 and divide by 2. Okay, so your first one is x is 7. Then it says find the length of LP. LP is this one. So if you plug a 7 into that, LP is going to have a length of 5 times 7 minus 9, or 35 minus 9. So LP is going to have a length of 26. Okay. Okay, this is the stuff we did yesterday, finding a centroid. And I might talk you through more than just what's given here, just so you're clear on all the different ways you could do it. So E is a centroid. Remember, this was the one where this is 1/3 and this is 2/3, or this is 1/3 of the segment, this is 2/3 of the segment, so on and so forth, okay? So what it says is if EI is 8, so if this length right here is 8, that is 1/3 of GI. So if that is 8, then 2/3 of GI is going to be doubling it, right? 16. So EG would have to be a length of 16. And then GI, that whole thing, would just be 16 plus 8. Add those two pieces together. So that's going to be 24. Okay, so on this one, I gave you the shorter piece, right? This EI was the shorter of the two segments. What if I give you the longer? What if I give you FE? Okay, if I tell you that FE is, let's call it 18. This is not drawn to scale. Sorry, I should have picked a smaller number. Let's pick a smaller number. We'll say this is 14, okay? If this is 14, then EK has to be half as much, because that's 1/3, where the 14 is 2/3. So cut it in half and you would get 7. Okay, or the last one, if I give you the whole thing, if I tell you that HJ is 27, okay, that's 3/3. So if I want 1/3, I would have to divide by 3, and that would mean JE is 27 divided by 3. So that's 9. Okay, so this would be 9. And then EH would be double that. So that would be 18. Okay. So that's a centroid. Pay attention to which part you're given. If you're given the shorter chunk, you're going to double it. If you're given the longer piece, you're going to cut it in half. If you're given the whole thing, you're going to break it into thirds. Okay. Okay, next question. Finding the circumcenter. If you recall, circumcenters come from perpendicular bisectors. Okay, so we're trying to find perpendicular bisectors to do this. Now, the shortcut way that I showed you was using the midpoint formula. So you look at your two numbers here, you add them together, -2 plus 4, and you divide by 2. And then you do the same thing for your y values. You have two different numbers. You have a 2 and a 6. You add them together, and you divide by 2. So your answer should be -2 plus 4, so that's 2, divided by 2 is 1. Your green side here, 2 plus 6 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So your answer should be 1, 4. You don't have to graph it, but you can if you want to. If you were to graph it, let me just show you how this would work. You can plot those points. -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puts you there for A. B is -2, 2, and C is 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so you have this triangle. If I want the perpendicular bisectors, I need to find a midpoint. So the middle of BC would be at 1, 2, and then make it perpendicular. So a horizontal line is perpendicular to a vertical line. And then do the same thing on AB. The midpoint of AB would be right here, right in the middle. That's a vertical line, so we would go horizontal to it, like this. And notice our point where they overlap is the point 1, 4. So you're looking for where they intersect. That can either be using the midpoint formula or you can graph it. You'll have both options. Okay. Okay, here's where it gets a little bit tricky for me to walk you through this, but I'm going to walk you through as best I can, and we'll go from there. This is, I would say when you're done with this, that you take a little bit of time with the people around you to just make sure you are constructing things the right way, because it's going to be hard for me to show you. There are videos of all of these. 2 of them are in lesson 5.3. So if you click on lesson 5.3, you'll see the angle bisectors and the perpendicular bisectors. If you click on 5.4, you'll see medians and altitudes. Okay, so if you want to just, watch a quick, you can even fast forward through it just so you can see what they're doing. You are welcome to do that. You have access to that. So this first one, okay, it says draw the medians to find the centroid. Now, this is the one that I say is easiest if you just use a ruler. Okay, remember what a median is. It is a midpoint connected to the opposite vertex. Okay, so here's what I would do if I were you. I would take a ruler, which you're not going to be able to see from what I'm doing here, but I would take a ruler. So I'm going to measure here right now. Okay, AC. When I measure AC, because of how zoomed in I am, yours is going to be different. Okay, you know what? Hold on. Okay, yours isn't going to be different. I'm going to use the actual measurements that are on the paper since you're all using a paper in front of you. So you would measure that distance. When I look at mine, if I'm using millimeters, I would say it's about 53 millimeters. Okay, we're going to cut that 53 in half. So 53 divided by 2 and you get 26.5. So you're gonna measure to that 26.5 and put a little mark, which again, mine is gonna be a little bit wonky compared to yours, I guess. Okay, so that's a midpoint. That point is gonna connect to that opposite vertex at B. So take your straight edge and draw that line in. Okay. By the way, as you're taking the quiz, if there are not enough rulers, because some of my rulers have walked away recently, if you have one of my rulers, put it back in the thing when you're done. But if you need a ruler, that's the one thing that you can ask the sub, like, hey, can I borrow so-and-so's ruler? And the sub can come help you get that ruler so that you're not passing things around, because that doesn't look great when you're taking a quiz. Okay, so then we go to AB. My AB, when I measure it, is about 28, 29, somewhere around there, 28 and a half maybe. So if you cut that in half, you're gonna measure 14 millimeters. So that will be right about, let's see, I'm getting different numbers of what I'm doing, but I'm trying to make it make sense for you. So right about there, so that these are congruent, and then you'll take your straight edge and draw it in. Mine doesn't work very well. Okay, the third one. You don't actually have to construct the third one because you should already have your point. Now, it's a good idea to measure it, okay? So if you measure BC, it is 51-ish. Okay, cut that in half. That would be 25.5. So you're gonna measure at 25.5 and draw that line in. But you can also go from A and make sure you hit that point, and that should be your middle. Okay, now for those of you that were doing this with a compass yesterday, this is the cat eye, but you don't draw the cat eye, okay? You don't draw the line for the cat eye. So if you're gonna do the cat eye, you'd go from like A and B, you would make your cat eye, but instead of drawing that line in, you just mark the midpoint and then you connect that to the opposite vertex. I don't recommend that way, but I know some of you were contemplating doing it that way. I would say measure it, cut it in half. If you don't have a way to measure, if your compass or if your protractor doesn't have measurements or you can't borrow one of my rulers, I would say wait and borrow one of my rulers when it's available, okay? I feel that strongly about how much easier that method is. Okay, this one, draw the angle bisectors to get the in-center. This one I showed you with the compass. So angle bisector, remember this is the one you're gonna put your point at Z, and then you're gonna draw an arc from Z, and then that gives you two new points, a point here and a point here. If you want to make your compass bigger so that you don't have a whole bunch of chaos going on in the middle, you can. If you make it bigger, then you're gonna do an arc, and then draw a line connecting those. I did not draw that very well, did I? But these would be the same then, okay? Mine doesn't look like it is because I'm freehanding and freehanding doesn't work. So don't freehand yours, okay? The second one, you would do like from point X, you would do an arc, and then you can open your compass wider or you can leave it the same and do your little X. So from these 2 points, an X out here, and then draw that in. And now these are the same. Okay, and then your third one, again, you're gonna make congruent angles here. I missed, but it should be somewhere right around there on yours. Okay, so that's angle bisectors. Again, talk to your neighbors if you're not sure. There's a lot of people in this room that know how to do it. So ask for help, okay? You'll have a little bit of time after this. Okay, then perpendicular bisectors. This is the cat eye. So remember what I said, find the longest side. I would say this looks like your longest side, okay? Open your compass so that you have the point. And then I would do something like this, the pencil here. So you want to open it to more than halfway. Okay, so open up that compass. And now you're going to just do really big arcs. So let's see. I'm going to try to freehand this. It's not going to be pretty, and I'm sorry. But hopefully this is the one you're most comfortable with because you did this the most of any of the other ones. So if you're here, we're going to go, this is going to be a challenge. Something like that from T. Then move over to R, and you're going to do that same compass setting from R. Oh, that's not going to work. This is a struggle, you guys. And then again from S, you're going to make a big arc. Okay, so again, this is a horrible representation, but this point here, if I follow that around, is going to connect over here. Okay, so that one actually looks pretty good, perpendicular bisector. The next one would be like this point. Nope, not that point. This point right here, follow those around to the point down here. Yeah, this one's not good. It should be shifted over. It would be more like that. But, you know, freehanding. This is why freehanding doesn't work. Don't do it. And then the last one, this point here with this point here. So where they meet up would be somewhere in the middle like that. Okay, so the cat eye, 3 perpendicular bisectors. Again, you have brilliant people in the room with you. Ask them for help. Okay. Okay, then the last one, draw the altitudes to find the orthocenter. I'm gonna get this stuff out of here. This is the smiley face if you want, or you're welcome to use a protractor and measure 90 degrees. I like the smiley face. The only thing about the smiley face is you might have to open up your compass. So if I'm gonna start at I, sorry, you might have to extend your line. If I start at I with my compass, that's my point. My pencil is going to draw a smiley face down here. Okay, so that gives me 2 points of intersection. And then from those 2 points, I would draw my little X down here, and then take your straight edge and draw that in, and that is a perpendicular. Okay, then maybe you want to rotate your paper. I can't really do that on here. Well, I guess I can. No, I can't. From G now, I would draw a smiley face over here. So something like that. You need to hit in 2 places. And then from those 2 points, now you'll draw your X out here. So from this point, I would make a little mark there. And then from this point, I would make a little mark there and draw that perpendicular in. So use your straight edge and draw that in. That's 90 degrees. And then for your last one, you don't have to construct it. This vertex is gonna go through there. Take your straight edge, draw that in. If that isn't 90 degrees, then something is wrong. These should all be 90 degrees, okay? All of them are perpendicular. Okay, I pretty much just took your quiz for you. If you have questions, talk to the people around you. You should have some time before you actually have to start the quiz, because I don't think the quiz should take you more than like 30 minutes or so. So ask for help if you need a little bit of help. Watch some of those construction videos on Fast Forward if you're not 100% sure on how to do those. They're all in Canvas. Lesson 5.3 has a couple. Lesson 5.4 has the other 2 constructions. So you can take a look at those videos real fast, and then you should be good to go. Happy quizzing.